So this is not just India's moment, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a moment that's going to be etched in history. With everything that we have seen, we've heard from the G20, and remember, there is a huge team that has been working behind the scenes 365 days trying to ensure that we have been able to achieve the miracle that the world today is in awe of. G20 has been a super success, but like I said, not without people and stakeholders who've put all their might into it. And joining us right now to talk more about this is Union Minister Piyush Goyal, who has been personally invested in G20, and he's done a lot of hard work as far as a lot of those ministerial meetings are also concerned. Piyush Goyal ji, thank you so much for speaking to us on Republic. And first up, many congratulations for having scripted history, sir. And clearly, this hasn't been easy.
Thank you very much, Dipti ji. I think India has been blessed to have the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has truly earned the trust and admiration of the entire world and world leaders through his astute handling of the G20 presidency through the year. And under his guidance, the entire G20 ministerials, programs, culminating in the very successful Leaders Summit over the last 2 days, have shown to the world, have demonstrated the capabilities of India, our ability to steer very difficult situations, our ability to bring together very different points of view. And today, the entire world has accepted a declaration which is full of substance. It has addressed geopolitical issues and very delicately, finely balanced the interests of very different thought processes. I truly believe it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's moment where he has shown to the world what India stands for, what he personally can do and looks to do for the world.
Oh yes, absolutely. Not without the leadership of a leader who not just thinks big, sir, but I think he's been able to achieve something very significant, to be able to assure that the West, bows down to a larger consensus when it comes to the global South, trying to understand that the global South has its own aspirations. The entire, area of the African Union also getting that prime seat on the high table. Now, what for you has personally been the biggest highlight, Piyush Goyal ji, of this entire G20 and the way it has worked?
I think the big message to the world has been that India provides leadership to the entire world. India represents the voice of the global South. With the introduction or inclusion of African Union into the G20, the Prime Minister personally and India as a nation have also earned the trust of the entire less developed and developing countries and regions. And today, Prime Minister Modi is a bridge between the developed world and the less developed world. He is a person who's trusted by both the developed and developing countries. He's a leader who the world looks up to as solving the multifaceted problems of humanity, be it climate change and sustainability, be it inclusive growth, the effort to achieve the sustainable development goals for all of humanity, the effort to bring an end to this war in Ukraine. I think with all these challenges, the world today is looking up to Prime Minister Modi's leadership. India has demonstrated to the world that we are capable of providing that leadership in the form of Prime Minister Modi.
Oh yes, and Piyush Goyal ji, with your permission, I want to dwell into certain specifics. How do you see Indian commerce going in from here? Brand India from local has become hugely global today. The world is looking towards India as, a replacement to that entire supply chain, perhaps that came in from China. Then there was a lot of conversation about, there's not going to be China or Russia. The heads are not a part of G20. So, what's this G20 all about? A lot of those naysayers are eating crow because what India has been able to achieve is not just a feat for the country but for the entire world, where the world is today taking note of the global south.
It's important to note that the Ministerial on Investment and Trade also came up with very significant outcomes. We were able to come up with a Jaipur call for action to provide information, adequate and sufficient information for MSMEs to prosper and grow. We are looking at mapping all global value chains so that we can make them more resilient and amongst friends. Vishwamitra, the word the Honorable Prime Minister had coined, the trusted friends working with each other and developing newer and newer partners for supply chains. The fact that today we are looking at a paperless world, India's digital offerings, particularly our digital public infrastructure, is leading the world's efforts to reduce very, very cumbersome processes in trade. We have launched the Startup Engagement Group, which will now continue to serve different countries. So India has had significant wins on the trade, commerce and investment front. But broadly, the fact that we are a strong economy, we are already the 5th largest economy. Very soon, in the next 4 or 5 years, we'll become the 3rd largest economy in the world. We have entered our Amrit Kal with a great deal of confidence and trust earned of the world, with a lot of self-confidence in our abilities to meet the needs of the world. And this Amrit Kal, the world recognizes, will take India to newer heights, and they all want to be a part of this resurgent India.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think everything that you say is so very true, and it is so reflected in the kind of sentiments we've heard almost from all countries, Piyush Goyalji, as they had those meetings, the bilaterals, and then the discussions with a lot of other people. Now, because you also spoke about commerce, digital payment infrastructure has seen a huge boost, Mr. Minister. The cross-border bill payment facility to be extended to NRIs in UK through the Bharat bill payment system, many say is going to be a complete game changer. And I know you have personally, worked very hard for that entire initiative. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, I think a lot of trade is balanced between two countries, or two set of countries. And the amount of losses that we incur in terms of exchange losses, repeated conversion of currency, payment systems of the past used to be very expensive, time consuming, and often fraught with also privacy issues and fraud. I think India has been able to bring out some really fantastic digital payment systems. The world has seen how we have successfully modernized our own banking and payment systems, how digital payments are the order of the day. Today, nearly 1/3 or even more than 1/3 of the world's transactions happen in India. And I believe that the more we work in local currencies and are able to settle or balance at the end of every period, whatever is the balances lying in either of the countries' accounts, will help us significantly bring down the cost of trade or the cost of remittances and expand India's trade with other countries. I think it's going to be a game changer, not only with UK. We are already started trade with UAE. We are looking at Singapore, and many other countries have shown interest in working with India on similar terms.
Oh yes,
Thank you,
and I do know time is limited, sir. You need to go in for a quick meeting. So I just have one other question before I let you go, sir. The Italian Prime Minister has told the Chinese Premier that it would withdraw from Xi's Belt and Road Initiative. Now, we've seen a lot of thought going behind that game changer project that many say is going to be completely, a game changer in the sense that you will have countries like Pakistan and Beijing thinking about what India has been able to achieve. And India is the larger consensus maker. What for you is the biggest talking point about this entire initiative that the US, India, the UAE and Saudi Arabia has spoken about, sir?
Well, the biggest part is it's not a geopolitical initiative or it's not an expansionist initiative. The idea is to connect the East and the West, create a corridor, create seamless transportation. Railroads will be interconnected. We can have digital connectivity through cables. We can have electricity flowing, clean and renewable energy flowing through this route. So it's really going to be a game changer in terms of bringing countries closer together, bringing nations into one fold, and will bring down again the cost of logistics significantly. It's a big message, not a message which is geopolitical or expansionist, but a message of trust and friendship.
All right, I think that's a beautiful note to end this conversation on, but only with the promise, Piyush Goyal ji, that we'll come back to you and we'll talk more about all the gains India and the world has made from G20. He's a very humble man, so he hasn't just told you of more hard work that he's put in. But Union Minister Piyush Goyal ji, thank you so much for your time and for speaking to us, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.